It was Halloween day. I was in 8th grade at the time, and my friend group felt like this year we were a little too old to be trick-or-treating. This would be the first year that we weren't going out, though, and being that the previous 10 years we'd always trick-or-treat on Halloween, we were left without anything to do. I mean, we didn't know what else there really was to do. Most of my group decided to just stay home and chill, maybe hand out candy or whatever. But me and my best friend Tyler thought otherwise. We wanted to do something, literally anything. That night, I went over to Tyler's place, and we came up with a plan to explore somewhere he'd heard about. To the best of our knowledge, it was some kind of abandoned tunnel or underground mine or something that was abandoned in the woods just a few miles south of our town. Now, I'd heard of it briefly before, too, but neither of us really knew what it was. Tyler was able to get some directions from a buddy of his. So, with the plan set, we hopped on our bikes and rode to the other side of town. There were a lot of people out walking around, but very few cars. And as we got closer to the woods, there were way less houses and, obviously, way less people as well. Both of us kind of expected other kids to have the same idea as us, so not seeing anyone out here only made us more excited. We locked up our bikes around the nearby tree, then headed down a small footpath that was right where Tyler's friends said it would be. This was very clearly not a real trail, and just something that formed from other people going this way. It was muddy, overgrown, and really easy to accidentally lose track of. Several times we had to stop and turn around to figure out where the path was. Obviously, it was dark out, and Tyler only had one flashlight at his place, so I was just following close behind him as he lit up the way. I want to say it took about 40 minutes of walking for us to finally reach a clearing in the trees. On the other side of the clearing, there was the entrance to the tunnel. It was a small hole going into the side of a hill, and from that far, it was just completely pitch black beyond the entrance. We were pretty sure now that it was some kind of old mine, though. Tyler walked up to the opening, and I stayed right behind him. He shined his light in, and it was honestly really creepy. It was extremely dusty and was just this rugged rock tunnel that looked like it was endless. At one point before we entered, I instinctively looked behind us at the woods we came from. And for an instant, I thought I saw something move. It was by one of the trees near the path. I immediately told Tyler to shine his light over there, but when scanning the area, we saw nothing. I didn't know if I was just scaring myself or if I actually saw something, but being with my buddy gave me a false sense of confidence. Tyler moved the light back into the tunnel, then we both hesitantly stepped in. The dust particles flooded across the beam of light as we slowly made our way down. It was really quiet in there. In each footstep, I go through the tunnel for an eerie amount of time, almost like it was miles long. We didn't get too far in, though, before we heard something ahead of us. It sounded like a voice. It was quiet, like they were whispering, but the echo carried the sound close enough for us to hear it. Tyler held his light steady as far down the tunnel as it could go, but there was still an endless pit of darkness beyond it. Almost like we read each other's minds, both of us simultaneously pivoted and started quickly walking back toward the opening. As we walked away, I could hear the voices behind us getting louder. Either they were talking louder or they were coming up behind us. But every time I looked back, it was entirely darkness, even just 5 feet away. We finally made it to the opening. And just then, Tyler stopped abruptly. Standing just 10 yards away was an unknown man. He was in the middle of the clearing, looking like he was just walking toward the opening we were coming from. Both of us bolted out and straight for the trees. I didn't have the courage to turn around to check if he chased us. Eventually, though, we ran out of breath and slowed down, to which we were able to go in the general direction back to town. As we walked back, we talked about what the hell just happened. What we think is that the man we saw outside the tunnel was likely going to trap us inside, or at least block our way out. I mean, why else would a grown man be alone in the woods on Halloween night, exploring an abandoned place that he knew kids would probably be going to? It doesn't make any sense. As for the people inside the mine, They could have been other kids or someone working with the man in the woods. We got really lucky, though, to have turned around and left when we did.